here we go. Welcome to round 4 of Pro Tour Fate Reforged. I'm Rashad Miller. I'm here with Hall of Famer Randy Buehler, and we're about to watch Seth Manfield. He is playing Burn. This is Modern, of course, and he's going up against Shahar Shenhar. All right, here we go. We're back to the feature match area. Rashad Miller here with Randy Buehler, and we're about to watch some Modern.
Wow.
We have Seth Manfield. There he is. He's playing Burn.
Burn, baby, burn.
And
he's got the white splash for Boros Charm.
Yep, and his opponent, Shahar Shenhar, also playing Burn.
But the black splash for Bump in the Night.
Oh, so it's Bump versus
Boros Charm.
Bump does more damage. Bump does 6 over the course of a lot of turns.
8 lava spikes between them. Let's play. Game on.
Now, we see Shahar is leading off with a Blood Crypt, and he plays it untap, so I'm guessing he doesn't know that his opponent's also Burn.
Agreed.
So,
I mean, there's value in getting the Swift Spear down, but yeah, if you know your opponent's on Burn, you don't necessarily want to be quite so cavalier with the fetch lands.
Yeah, so Seth's going to go down to 19 while Shahar is sitting at 17. Let's see what Seth has got going on. So he's going to start off with an Air Mesa. Probably going to get a basic land.
I would think. Yeah,
and there it is.
Mountain.
Yep, basic
I'm not paying 2 life if I'm being attacked by Monastery Swift Spear, that's for sure. These guys are both 3-0 too.
Yep, you get a look at Shahar Shenhar. It's reigning 2-time World Champion Shahar Shenhar. Those are some impressive stats there.
And he played a Burn deck at Worlds too. Like his Modern deck there was a Cruise Burn, right? He had the splash of blue, but I heard him saying even after the tournament, he wasn't even convinced 4 Treasure Cruises were correct. He might have rather had, you know, maybe 2 Treasure Cruises to refuel with the Burn deck. So I'm not at all surprised to see him on this archetype.
And there is Bump in the Night. That's 3. Target opponent loses 3 life. That's going to pop up the Swift Spear and allow him to attack for 2 more points of damage.
No second land for Shahar.
No second land,
He's
but
like, come on, Goblin Guide. Help me out, Goblin Guide.
There are enough lava spikes and Bump in the Nights and other lightning bolts that maybe he only needs one life. And, you know, if he only has 1 land, then he's not going to be losing any life from his land anymore.
You know what else it means?
What else does it mean?
It means he's got a lot of burn in his hand.
That's exactly what it means. So Seth does play a creature of his own, Goblin Guide, which might help out Shahar in his land woes.
That's what Shahar's hoping for.
Now, Shahar also played a Burn variant in the last Modern GP that he played in. I remember watching him playing. It was Jeskai. It was a Jeskai colored version. But he decides to play Bump in the Night this tournament instead of, you know, all of those other white cards you get.
Monastery Swift Spear, spike you, attack.
That's the way Burn draws it up. Reveals not a land.
So trained professionals, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, both players are, well, Seth's at 12, Shahar's at 8, so this may be a quick one, as we kind of figured just by looking at what the decks were.
True story.
Best defense is a good offense. That's what the Burn player says.
Yeah, I'm not sure Seth expected, or Seth is happy with 4 lands in this game, but that is better than a 1.
It is. Another Bump in the Night's going to bring Seth's life total down to 9.
Right. He gets hit by Swift Spear for 2. So he's on 7. Shahar can't kill him without another land.
Right. Shahar's at 8, and that's well within the reach of.
Right. Is he just dead here? Swift Spear, Spike.
You're at 8 right now.
Yeah, that's the math Seth is doing.
Yeah, there's.
All right. Swift Spear,
9.
2, 4, 6. That sounds like 9 damage.
And there are no ways to really interact while tapped out.
Seth's just trying to think, what could he possibly have?
Gut shot?
Yeah, gut shot. That's about it. But, I mean, those guys aren't even 1 toughness. That should be 2 gut shots?
Has to be 2 gut shots, and
that's 4 life. For those, yeah.
Yep, there is a lot of damage. That's 5 coming in, and 1 burn spell is going to finish off Shahar.
Indeed. Yeah, it doesn't even bother with the spike. Pre-phase, yep, there it is.
Goes to 3, shows him a skull crack. And there you have it. Shahar Shenhar goes down. Seth Manfield leads 1-0. All right, so we will bring you more feature match action right after this.
Start on your road to the Pro Tour by playing in a preliminary Pro Tour qualifier. With more than 2,000 WPN locations running events, you're sure to find one near you. Visit magic.wizards.com/pptq for schedules and information. Friday Night Magic has expanded to include all formats. Get ready for Commander, Legacy, or even Conspiracy drafts. Check out your local store for details and share your FNM stories by using the hashtag MTGFNM on Twitter. Visit magic.wizards.com/FNM for more information.
Back in the feature match area. We're going to take a quick look in live on Owen Turnwall, and he is playing Infect.
Infect.
Ooh, gotta love that deck. And he's up against Ben Stark, who is playing, you know, his tried and true deck of choice, which is Scapeshift.
Yeah, yeah, no,
they're both combo decks, sort of, right?
Sort of, yeah. I mean, Owen Turnwall, to me, this has got to be, at least in part, due to the addition of Tom Ross to Team Pantheon. Tom Ross is legendary for the success he's had in Eternal formats with the Infect deck.
Yeah, he has built himself a legacy, some might say, with Infect.
Some might say, yes. But yeah, Glistener Elf for Owen Turnwald, he is attacking with poison creatures. You can see the 2 poison on for Ben so far.
Yep, that's that little 2P that's green underneath Ben Stark's life total. And for those of you who may not know, you can lose the game by, you know, having your life total depleted to 0, or by obtaining 10 poison counters. So Owen's going with a Taxian Probe right now, just to see what's going on and to get a little card drawing. And we see a lot of cryptic commands over, and a couple of Search for Tomorrows for Ben Stark. So not a lot of interaction, just, you know, tap, draw a card. But that could keep him alive.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it means that Owen can't just become immense all of a sudden and win the game.
And Owen only has 1 creature. This type of deck is a little bit light on the creature count. So
there's a Blinkmoth Nexus, so he can get in for 2 a turn. Pendlehaven can sometimes up the clock as well. He's got a couple of those running around. None in play, though. Yeah, I think Become Immense is the big new addition to this deck. I mean, if you think about sort of how has Modern evolved.
Exactly.
You know, that card is relatively new to the format, right? Khans just came out. I mean, it was dwarfed by other Delve cards from Khans of Tarkir.
Which are no longer illegal.
Yeah, no Treasure Cruise, no Dig Through Time. So you want to take advantage of Delve, and suddenly, you know, Become Immense, maybe Tassiger. Those have become the premium Delve spells.
Owen also has a Vines of Vashwood in his hand with the Minor Crozer, but the Vines of Vashwood could play a part in giving his 1 creature hexproof in case, though, it's the target of a cryptic command, bounce, draw a card.
Yeah, it's one of the great uses of Vines of Vashwood in this deck, the fact that it can protect your creature from a removal spell.
And Owen does have complete knowledge of Ben Stark's hand, so he's considering all those options.
Yeah, it's hard to cast spells into 4 untapped mana and a cryptic command.
How about 4 untapped mana and 3 cryptic commands? Minor Crozer.
Interesting. Oh, he's trying to bait the cryptic command so that he can respond with Vines of Vastwood.
Well, this
That's
also,
clever.
It's also +4/+4 when you play it as a sorcerer.
Oh, of course, of course. I'm not saying he's sad to see it resolve. I'm just saying he doesn't expect to see it resolve. He knows Ben has the ability to stop it, but rather than just attack with the Ink Moth and the Glistener Elf for 2 poison, he would like to get in a big hit here. Yeah.
Right. So Ben actually goes for the tap all your guys and draw a card mode, so that
it's almost like these guys know how to play Magic. Yeah. A lot of players in Ben Stark's position would have chosen to bounce the Glistener Elf there.
And not only would the creature have not been bounced, but Ben Stark wouldn't have drawn a card because that spell would only have had 1 target, and it would have been illegal.
Attack.
So in comes the Blink Moth. Oh, the Ink Moth next.
Ink Moth for 1, yeah.
Owen goes down to 14. So damage hasn't been dealt yet, but I can't. It does, but the damage hasn't been dealt yet. Or is that Blink Moth? Let's find out if that's an Ink Moth or a Blink Moth.
He only plays Ink Moth. There are no blinks in the deck.
All right, so that is an Ink Moth, so it should be 3 poison right now.
Oh, Become Immense.
Oh, the Become Immense has just resolved. So 9 poison for Ben Stark. So now he's facing down 2 lethal attackers.
Absolutely.
And this is why that card right there, Become Immense, is...
So that Cryptic Command's ability to tap all the creatures, Owen can even play around that. Right?
He can.
Owen can... This should end this turn, I think.
Well, this is an upkeep. During this upkeep, it looks like he might be bouncing.
Tap and bounce?
It could be tap and bounce.
Oh, Vines of Vastwood.
Oh, wow. Vines
you
of
can't
Vastwood.
bounce this.
Nope.
Wow. Super
and it
well
only has
played.
1 target, so the creatures do not tap anymore.
Wow, he fizzles it.
Fizzles the spell.
It does fizzle, right?
Yeah,
Right.
fizzles the spell.
You're right, Owen. It does fizzle. Former level 3 judge Rashad Miller agrees with you.
Super well played by Owen.
All right, so now we're back to our main match. This is Shahar Shenhar versus Seth Manfield. This is a burn mirror match, and things look a little bit better for Shahar. He has more than 1 land, and he's leading with a Goblin Guide. Looks like there's some searching going on at Arid Mesas in the graveyard for Seth Manfield. He's trying to decide if he wants a land to cast multiple spells or if he wants to save a little life and get a mountain. It looks like mountain's going to be the choice. I wonder how much of the burn mirror these 2 players have actually tested, because isn't that a deck that when you go and play and you're just expecting no one else to be playing that deck?
I mean, you don't spend a lot of time testing the mirror. You're more because usually your testing process is running decks against a gauntlet to see who wins the most. But burn is such a big part of this metagame that I do think these guys will probably have played the mirror. Certainly, if you did any modern testing on Magic Online, you ran into this burn deck. Wow, Lightning Bolt tries to take out Goblin Guide, and Shahar has Mutagenic Growth. Turns it into a 4/4. Both keeps the Goblin Guide alive and gets in some extra damage.
Great play. And a Lava Spike is going to come down. Another land for Shahar Shenhar. Pass the turn back to Seth Manfield, who has no board state, but that's not really the plan with the burn deck. The creatures are mostly just reusable burn spells, and a Goblin Guy comes down. He's going to play defense.
Wow.
And
get that out of the way.
Target
take some
for
damage.
Searing Blood.
Hit you, take some more.
There you see Searing Blood. It deals 2 damage to target creature, and if that creature dies, that creature's controller gets dealt 3 damage. So pulling some double duty as you see Seth Manfield's down to 5.
Wow.
Right, and Shahar just shows him a Lava Spike and says, you're going to die next turn, and that's it. We're going to go to game 3 in this very fast, hot match. All right, so we are going to take a live look in on the King of the Hill table.
Nice.
And that is Yegor Vigersma, and he is playing against Milos Stajic.
Okay. Yelger's on Twin?
Yelger is on Splinter Twin with main deck Blood Moons.
Whoa.
Yeah, got a couple of main deck Blood Moons, and
that's some tech.
But, you know, those Blood Moons may not be very good against the Mono Green Elf deck.
Mono Green Elf deck?
Well,
Seriously?
There's some white. There's a couple of white sources in there, but there's still mostly green.
Wow, this is like Nettle Sentinel.
I'm having flashbacks.
This is not a combo deck, though. This is just...
It's Elves. It has the Elf engine. It has the Heretic Druid Nettle Sentinel engine, but it's a little bit different than Elf.
Wow, Cloudstone Curio.
That's for Infinite Loop.
Yeah, that's where the loop. I was looking for the loop. And that's where it comes from.
All right, so our board
cool.
state looks like we have a Burge and Tid for Tinder Forger and Nettle Sentinel. Obviously, that Forger is out of the sideboard for Stajic. And just a lot of posturing for both players right now.
It's actually not out of the sideboard.
Oh, that's a main deck? Oh,
yeah,
so
well, look, sometimes you got to worry about your opponent sweeping the board away with Anger or
I guess.
something like Pyroclasm.
Pyroclasm and Anger, the guys are both legal in this format.
Oh, yeah, and heavily played.
Yes. Second Nettle Sentinel. So all Milos needs, if that had resolved, was a Heritage Druid to really get the engine going, but Mana Leak says, no, sir. And attack for 3. It's going to bring Vigorschma down to 11. So plan B of the Elf deck, which has always been just attack with your Elves.
Right.
Elfish Mystic comes down. That also untaps the Nettle Sentinel. Sends it back to Yelger. Yelger looks like he has a Pestermite. He's probably planning on using that during combat to tap down one of those attackers, or maybe even ambush an attacker just to take out one of those creatures. But we shall see what he decides to do. Green mana, looks like this is going to be Heritage Druid, and that's a 3rd elf. So now,
tap 3 elves.
Yeah, Milos
Make
has
3 mana.
Yep, has a mana engine. Doesn't have a card engine yet.
Yeah, the deck doesn't really have card drawing engines.
But he does have an Elvish Visionary in his hand, so that gives him a card.
Sure. And obviously, playing that will also untap the Nettle Sentinel. He's keeping track of his floating mana with the die there.
Oh, a Thalia.
Ooh.
And Thalia gets hit with a Spell Snare. Still 2 mana left, so it looks like this is going to be Elvish Visionary, untap Nettle Sentinel, and draw a card, if that resolves. But 2 mana left for Snapcaster Mage, so a little Snap Snare action is going to stop that from happening for Stages as well. And Milos is running on just about empty right now.
I mean, those elves can attack for damage, but that'll take several turns. Yelger just wants to keep any explosive shenanigans under check while he stitches his own combo together.
All right, so it looks like we're going to leave this match, and we will be giving you updates on on the progress of those guys. But we're going to go back to our main match, which is Seth Manfield and Shahar Shenhar in the burn. Not exactly a mirror, because one is using black and one's using white. It's Bump of the Night versus Boros Charm. Let's see who's going to win this one out.
Definitely a lot of overlap between the decks.
Yep. Monastery Swift Spear, one of the cards that is Infect in both decks. Seth Manfield did take 2 damage, so he's going to be at 18 pretty soon from his battlefield, from his land. Sacred Foundry. Actually dueling Sacred Foundries.
Sure looks like a mirror match this game.
It definitely does. 17 all. Take a look at some of the tweets we have over on the side. Someone's hoping to see a lot of Siege Rhinos.
We're hoping not to see a lot of Siege Rhinos.
Oh, hoping not. Well, I kind of like Siege Rhino. I'm hoping to see Siege Rhinos.
We're going to see everything. There are legitimately 20 decks that I can imagine in this top 8.
And this is what Modern was supposed to be. This is why Modern was actually became a format. So that you can see all of these cards being played in this format. You know, you just play the cards you like, and you have a chance. It's great. All right, so there we have a Searing Blaze. Is going to take out the Monastery Swift Sphere, also deal some damage. Steph's going to be at 16, and it looks like Shahar plays the land. It's going to take 2 more damage, and it's dueling burning of the creatures.
Let's go.
Empty board, 2 land in play, pass of the turn.
Yeah, the creatures are such efficient sources of recurring damage that you got to spend your burn killing them.
All right, so Seth contemplating his next move. These players might be in the end of turn phase of the game of just, or we could suspend 2 Rift Bolts.
Let's suspend 2 Rift Bolts.
So we have 6 damage in the wake for Seth Manfield. So Shahar at a virtual 7 life. And Seth could easily untap and deal 7 more damage with the, the 2 land he has in play and 1 more land from his hand. I'm sure Shahar's thinking about that as well.
That Yelger Vigorschma game we were watching, by the way, right after we cut away, Yelger summoned a Pestermite, untapped. Guess what happened next?
I'm going to say Splinter Twin?
Splinter Twin, so they're off to game 3.
There you see Seth Has a couple of Rift Bolts suspended. You get a look at Rift Bolt right there. It's a Lightning Bolt. You just have to wait a turn. Or if you're just very impatient, you can pay 3 mana.
Yeah, this deck is all about finding ways to spend 1 mana for 3 damage. It only takes 7 of those, and usually it only takes 6.
And in this matchup, it looks like it only really takes 5.
That's about right.
A lot of math is going on here. Usually, you think, you know, the burn deck is real simple. All you have to do is count from 20 to 0 backwards, but there's a lot to consider here. As you see,
Helix.
Yeah, Lightning Helix. Both players are running
That
Lightning
helps.
Helix. They both have Lightning Helix in their hand, and that can really throw the math off.
Shahar has no 3rd land. He's only got the 2 that are in play. Is he tapping his fingers on the table?
It's mapping out
doing math.
Mapping out the next probably 2 turns of this game.
Yeah, I mean, this turn he could go. He could play 2 1-mana cards, or he could leave up the Lightning Helix. I don't know if he needs to leave up the Lightning Helix. Like, he's at effectively 7. But it's like.
So any Monastery Sphere plus another spell could be lethal. But he decides to go for a main phase Lightning Helix. So he wants to gain the life right now.
Yeah.
Hold you. So you're at 7.
If Shahar was at 13 before the Lightning Helix, isn't he? He must have been at 10 before the Lightning
So he was
Helix?
at 10. The life totals had
Oh,
not been
yeah.
updated just
Now
yet.
you absolutely have the Lightning Helix.
Yeah, so now it's 10 to 7. This is at
Yeah, you can't go to
dust is
4 there. You can't go to 4, especially
Yeah.
your opponent's playing white. You've got to worry about Boros Charm. You've got to worry about any haze creature plus a lava spike.
Right,
I think Shahar.
and you have to worry about the ability for Seth to be able to respond to your Lightning Helix.
That's why you do it main
Yeah,
phase.
exactly.
All right, now Seth has got some math to do. All right, I'm at 10.
You're
What
at
does Seth
7.
have to work with?
2 mana does not deal 7 damage, not in this format.
His hand looks a little simpler. Basically 2 Lightning Bolts or a Helix. Oh, he drew Eidolon.
Yeah,
I see.
he does have Eidolon of the Great Revel, so that's that would be his play if it's either play burn spells or play Eidolon, and he decides to I'll just Lightning Helix you back. Let's trade life totals.
Sure.
Or go
Yeah.
to now 13.
I mean, I'm at 13. You're at 4. I think this is edge Seth. Seems pretty straightforward. He can untap with 2 Lightning Bolts in his hand. Barring another Lightning Helix, I don't think any of us think Shahar can deal 13 on this turn.
Right, and Shahar has to consider that this is his last turn of this game because two land in play. He didn't play a land last turn, so the 3 cards in hand have to, on average, each deal 2.5 points of damage.
Yeah,
Probably
I mean, they
3.
might. He can hope that Seth has 2 mana cards, you know, Skull Cracks, Boros Charms, things like that. That's Shahar's best case scenario here. But he knows with Seth not playing land that Seth's hand is enough to be lethal.
All right, so 1 mana, and it looks like it's going to be a Monastery Swift Spear.
Yeah, it's not like Shahar has a lot of play here, right? Doesn't have any life gain, doesn't have any ability to do anything about whatever burn Seth's holding. Just has to assume that he'll get another turn and figure out, all right, what's the most efficient way for me to deal damage over the next 2 turns?
So just
Hoping he gets them.
Just pretend like Seth Manfield is not there, has no cards in hand.
But this particular goldfish does have cards in his hand.
And one of them is a Lightning Bolt, and so is a second. And there you have it. Seth Manfield is going to move on to 4-0 versus Shahar Shenhar, both playing burn. Looks like the white version of the deck wins over the Bumper the Night version. So now it's time to move to a new match. Looks like we're going to take a look at Oren Turtenwall versus Ben Stark. We had a look at their game 1, which has some very clever plays by Oren Turtenwall to get around triple Cryptic Command. Able to fizzle those with some spells.
Look at that enchantment in play. Do you see that? That is Wild Defiance.
That's been a staple in this deck. It's a very, very potent card for this deck because not only does it changes all of your pump spells into extra pump spells.
Oh yeah. Anything that targets your creature, any instant or sorcery that targets your creature gives it +3/+3. So Owen is both defending his creature from that artifact removal and pumping it up. So kablam, Wild Defiance.
And there you see it right there. Whenever a creature you control becomes
you
a
know
target
what
of an instant
makes
sorcery.
Minds of Vastwood even better? When it's +7/+7?
Well, you know what? Or when it's just +3/+3 and hexproof for 1 mana.
That's good enough, too.
That's a pretty good card. I'd play that card.
Think about Become Immense with Wild Defiance. Every single creature deals 10 poison with that combo.
That's
Wild Defiance, Become Immense. Here, take 10.
Maybe that should be in the main deck. Maybe that's a
It is.
consideration. Is it? I thought that was in the sideboard. It used to be in the sideboards in these modern decks.
No, this Pantheon Infect deck looks good.
You know
this deck looks like they have put some time in, and they've got an Infect deck which, to me, just looks a couple of cards better than everybody else's Infect deck.
Well, hey, when you have Tom Ross on your team.
And Owen Turtenwald, and John Finkel, and Kai, and Huey, and Reed, and yeah, there's some talent there.
There is definitely some talent.
Andrew Cuneo.
All right, so now we're back to the King of the Hill table, and this is Yegor Vigasma versus Milos Stajic. And this is game 2. No, this is game 3. They're both tied at 1 apiece. And again, we don't have any wild shenanigans over from the Elf deck, but it does have a decent board state and a Thalia to, well, it used to have a Thalia to.
Yeah, Electrolyze seems good against Elves.
Very good. Draw a card, kill 2 of your creatures. It looks like he left
Did
the
he
Thalia,
not kill the Thalia? Wow.
I thought he pointed one of those at the Thalia, but I guess not. Not concerned with having to pay 1 more mana.
Yeah, I'm not. Thalia in the Elves deck, doesn't the Elves deck want to play a lot of spells on each turn?
Well, it's only non-creature spells.
Sure.
So there aren't that many non-creature spells in the Elf deck.
All right,
at least in this version, it looks like it's very creature heavy.
Yeah.
All right, so Milos is
Yelger with the Ice Age basic island choice.
Hey, you got a style when you know. Do you think he heard that he was going to be in the King of the Hill table and he went out and changed all of his islands?
No, I don't.
Are you sure?
I think he just thought Ice Age was the island choice. It's an important decision when you're getting ready for the Pro Tour.
Right, so
which basic lands you're going to play.
Misty Rainfall Forest goes to the graveyard, gets a forest. And let's see what Milos has to offer with his 3 mana. Apparently, the King of the Hill table is highly sought after.
Comfortable.
We do have a more comfortable chair there. You can't tell, but there's a little cushion on the top. So here's 3 mana and the tapping of 3 creatures. So that's going to be a Convoke for 2 because of the Thalia. Court of Calling, and it's going to get Spellskite. That's a nice addition. I'm guessing that's out of the sideboard. Helps break up the Splinter Twin combo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one is in fact out of the sideboard. I mean, the Summoner's Pact Court of Calling engine means he can main deck some of these silver bullets, or have 1 card in his sideboard but be able to go get it every time it's relevant. Yeah. And yeah, like you say, Spellskite all by itself does break up the Splinter Twin combo because the creatures that you're creating with the Splinter Twin can untap targeting. You can essentially steal that that untap ability.
Well, you could also steal the targeting of the Splinter
Twin in the first place.
It's like, no, your Splinter Twin is now targeting my Spellskite thanks to the Splinter Twin. Not that I could do much with it, but it's nice to have.
Wow. So, on the back table, Kenji Samura has a double Batterskulled Siege Rhino. Is that what I just heard?
That's definitely what you just heard. That's one big boy. It's got a house.
That game can't last much longer, right?
It's got a house and what is a Batterskull? Is it like a is it a hammer? Do you wear it? I don't know.
Siege Rhino wears it.
Oh, he wears 2. He wears them well, apparently. Still a lot of consideration over on this game, and it looks like a spell. Pestermite's coming down. Pestermite's going to come down. It's going to tap a land.
Or cost Stajic 2 life while he pays to redirect to Splinter Twin.
Yeah, I wonder how important that land being open is, and it looks like it's at least important enough to lose 2 life for it. And that was at the end of Milos' turn. And now Yelger's going to start his turn. He's starting off with a Serum Visions he has to pay 2 for. Looks like he has a couple of Splinter Twins in his hand, but he's going to need to find a way to deal with that Spellskite before he can decide to go off. And to a lesser extent, that Thalia, because it's hemping his mana just a little bit. There's a 4th mana. That's going to help out on the Thalia case.
Does he have a second red?
He does not have a second red, so he can't play the Splinter Twin just yet, nor does he really want to right now.
Yeah. Well, I think I saw a Cryptic Command floating around his hand. So he could, in theory, bounce the Splinter Twin with a Cryptic Command, untap, and Splinter Twin. Problem is, he can't execute that plan without a second red mana. Also, Cryptic Command costs 5, so he couldn't execute it this turn after the Serum Visions anyway.
Right. So it looks like Yogurt is still a couple of turns away from assembling this combo through the minor disruption that Milos has.
Spellskite's more than a minor disruption.
It
is
moderate,
must answer.
Moderate
it must answer.
Okay, must answer. It is must answer. Yogurt's at 12. Milos has 4 points of power on board.
How many cards? 6.
Yeah, Yogurt's going to need a couple turns, but he has a couple turns.
Yeah. Attack with the Pesker Knight.
I don't think he's not planning to block with it, so get in there.
All right, passes the turn back to Milos, and off the top of the deck.
Speaking of hosers.
Oh, is that a choke?
That is choke.
You think Yogurt saw a choke yet?
Islands do not untap.
They do not untap. Back in the darker days of Magic, when we decided instead of interacting with the card to color we want to play, let's just interact with the color itself. Choke, one of the last remaining survivors of that type of card.
Mm-hmm.
Elvish Mystic comes down, passes the turn back to Yoga.
There's only 2 islands tapped, so he's not going to run it out.
Yep. In return, another Pestermite is going to try to tap down the Temple Garden, and that's also going to get redirected.
Does Milos have a? Does he have like a path or something in his hand that he's holding up?
He does not.
He's defending that white mana. Is it a bluff?
It could be a bluff. It's
pretty good bluff.
He's got enough life to,
right.
to spare.
Right. Although, 2 Pestermites is suddenly a 2-turn clock. Like, I don't see a white card in his hand. Yeah, it looks like it's Choke, Summoner's Pact, Craterhoof, Behemoth, Thalia.
Yeah.
So it's totally a bluff that he refuses to let that Temple Garden get tapped. A cool bluff, but all of a sudden, he's paid 4 life, and now what? He's down to 7? So 2 more turns, Pestermite could get there.
Yep. The attack from the 2 Pestermites brought Milos down to 7. And now Yogo does get the second red source, so he has more options. He has more cards in his hand that he can play, but still not the right opportunity to play them. Picked up a Remand as well that can turn out.
Oh, does he have Remand?
He does have Remand in his hand. Remand costs 3, so he won't be able to play a spell and Remand because all his spells he has are 4.
Does he have a land in his hand, Yoger?
He played the Mountain. He doesn't have another land in his hand. He has double Splinter Twin, Remand, and Cryptic Command. Get a good look at it right there.
Well, so he can go Cryptic Command, untap Splinter Twin, where Cryptic Command presumably would bounce the Spellskite, maybe even tap all the creatures.
But did Milos sell this bluff?
Right. Okay, during the attack step.
Tap your creatures, bounce your Thalia.
Ooh, tap your creatures, bounce Thalia.
Interesting.
That is interesting. This could have been an opportunity to
bounce the Spellskite.
Yeah.
And now Milos is thinking about he could redirect it to the Spellskite if he wants to keep his Thalia. I'm not sure you care all that much about the Thalia, right?
The Thalia doesn't seem to be an important part of the puzzle.
Plus, you can replay it post combat.
All right, over in the back table are text match, which is Stern and Samura. They're actually going to game 3 right now, so we may be able to jump back in.
We'll see how this plays out. Did I hear Tassiger was involved in mopping up game 2?
Tassiger. Go.
Both drawing cards and also wearing a Batterskull.
Go Fate Reforged. So wait, was it Tassiger or was it the Batterskull? Little column A, a lot from column B, a lot from the Tassiger column.
Right. So Milos decides to let that resolve, does not redirect to Spellskite.
All right, all his creatures are tapped, so no attacking for Milos, and now this is his second main phase.
And now, how good is this bluff? Is he going to not replay Thalia to hold up this white mana? He's representing Path to Exile.
Yeah, he has.
That's what's going on.
Yeah, he also has the option to play Choke and hold up past the exile.
But here's Remand.
Yeah.
With no Thalia, Yelger had a mana for Remand.
But he still has a white mana open, so the path to exile bluff is still active.
Right, and there's still a Spellskite. So can he bounce Spellskite and Splinter Twin? He can if he has a land, but only if he has a land.
Did not see if he picked up a land.
Probably. Also, by the way, Pester Mites knocking Milosh to 3. Yelger is attacking on like 3 different axes here. This is cool the way he's played this.
Yeah, it may not be a need to even play either of those Splinter Twins. Right now, it's Milos is on the back foot. He has to do something.
He's got 3 power worth of Elves in play. Yelger's just like, I'm just going to kill you with Splinter Twins next turn.
All right, so Milos, you're facing lethal next turn. This is your last turn. Unless something great happens.
Yelger's got this, doesn't he? Summoner's Pact might do something? But I mean, Yelger has Cryptic Command.
Yelger does have Cryptic Command.
Does he only had the 1 Cryptic Command? I think Yelger only had the 1, so he's out of Cryptic Commands.
He has Anger the Gods.
Mostly what he's got are 2 Splinter Twins.
Well, right now, Summoner's Pact is on the stack.
Yeah, Stajic doesn't have any choice, right? He's got to go see what he can get.
Is this a, I know that I have an out to this situation, or is this a, let's see what I can do and hope that I can win? Ooh.
Essence Warden? Hilarious. I'll gain some life.
Now, that would have been really good against the Deceiver part of the combo because you gain 1 life each Deceiver you make.
Yep.
But right now, I don't know if that's enough.
Right.
It would give him...
He needs 2 life to survive the next turn.
If he can get 2 life, he can survive at least the combat portion of the Yelger Vigersmans angle.
Right. So
and there you
Thalia
have it.
to gain 1.
There's a creature. He gains 1 life.
He did have to tap his white mana, though, so all the work he's done representing Path to Exile is sort of undone. And he only gains the 1 life here, right?
He only gains 1 life. He only brings up to 4. I
Still
think
dead to Pester Mites. Does he have another creature?
He does not. Well, he does. Looks like he has another Thalia.
Yeah, the second Thalia doesn't help, though. He doesn't have the white mana.
Right. He doesn't have the white mana. He has a fetch land in his hand, but that's not going to work because that's just going to undo the life that he gains. I think Milos may have just signed his own death certificate here.
Yelger Vigersma, ladies and gentlemen. Who
Big
needs the combo?
There you go.
I'll just attack with Pester Mites.
Still have all these Splinter Twins.
There's the reveal at the end.
All right, so now we're going to take a look at, this is the last match here in the feature match area. This is John Stern versus Kenji Samura.
Just starting game 3?
They're just starting game 3. They're tied at 1-1. And let's see if we can
swing and a miss from Thoughtseize? I see the Thoughtseize. I don't see anything in John Stern's graveyard.
Must be a bunch of land in John Stern's hand.
Yeah, didn't quite catch the...
That's the only answer to that. Oh, a Wilt Leech. Is it a option? You have the option to not take a card with Thoughtseize? I don't think that's correct. I don't believe you have that option. Maybe we could get Thoughtseize pulled up. Target player reveals his or her hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. You lose 2 life. I'm pretty sure that when a card...
Yeah, you can't not choose Wilt Leech.
Yeah,
right?
when your hand is revealed, that becomes public knowledge. So I think you're in a situation where you have to choose a card if you have a legal card. We can have someone check that, and actually if that is the entire case that just happened, because we were just coming in on this match, so we can find that out.
Nothing? There was just no...
We're going to get confirmation for you guys.
But was there no legal targets?
I believe that it has to be...
It's not optional.
Yeah, it's not optional. I believe it's not optional.
There was just nothing there. The Wilt Leech must not have been there.
All right, so there was no legal targets for that Thoughtseize. So a handful of land and a mana creature? That's your keep?
Does he have a Gavany Township? Gavany Township is going to... I mean, Pod may have gone away. Gavany Township has not gone away. John Stern is playing 3 Gavany Townships. And this version of... We've got it up as an Abzan deck, but it's an interesting take on the Abzan because it's got fully 4 birds and 4 Noble Hierarchs. So it is heavy on the mana creatures. Voice of Resurgence, Kasali Pride Mage, Kitchen Finks, Smiter, Lingering Souls.
This sounds like my type of deck.
Yeah, no Liliana. And no Tarmogoyf.
All right, so John Stern did play the Wilt Leech that he acquired at some point during the course of this game. And there's a 3/4 Tarmogoyf that's in play. That's a big boy. The Liege gets taken out by a Path to Exile, and there are a couple of Gavany Townships in John Stern's hands. So that's,
He kept Noble Hierarch and 6 lands, at least one of which was a township. Yeah, I think these guys have an interesting take on Abzan. This is definitely not your everyday ordinary Abzan deck. Most of these decks are Liliana and Tarmogoyf as, you know, the heavy hitters. Neither card appears in this list.
And there is a Siege Rhino. Siege Rhino #1 for the camera.
Sure.
Should we have a little Siege Rhino ticker in the corner and a second Noble Hierarch? We don't need a ticker for that. Maybe for the Tarmogoyfs, because there's a couple of Tarmogoyfs over on the
Tarmogoyf's like, why are you guys so excited? That guy costs 4. I'm like just as big as he is.
Not yet.
For 2 mana.
Not yet. Those Tarmogoyfs definitely losing the fight right now to that Siege Rhino.
For now. Of course, Noble Hierarchs are also going to make the Siege Rhino even bigger.
Plains for Kenji.
Yeah, Kenji's Abzan list is a lot more, I think, typical. This is what people were expecting and what most people will be playing. Tarmogoyfs, Liliana's, Lingering Souls. Does have a main deck Batterskull. Does have 4 Siege Rhinos and a couple of Tassikers.
Right, so Kenji matches Siege Rhino for Siege Rhino, but a 3rd Noble Hierarch for John Stern. Not only is that going to be 3...
Don't forget the Gavany Township.
That's right, 3 Exalted triggers for that Siege Rhino, which might attack.
It's going to attack at 8 power.
Attack at 8 power, and the Gavany Township is going to add counters to all of those creatures. Doesn't matter that they're not attacking.
8 power is not really good enough, though. I mean, Kenji can block with a Rhino plus a Tarmogoyf.
Yeah, then you trade a Rhino for a Rhino.
Yeah. Even with all those triggers, it's still not big enough to get
But it looks
through.
like he's willing to trade. He's willing to make that trade.
Well, if you have Gavany Township with 3 Noble Hierarchs, sure. Let's trade the big creatures away.
I mean, Tarmogoyf is not a small creature. And it threatens to get just as big.
And Kenji's worried about like a Path to Exile or any kind of removal spell, so he's contemplating a triple block.
And there are currently no creatures in this graveyard, so a creature going to the graveyard is going to make those Tarmogoyfs into 4 or 5s.
Yeah, and then John's like, I'll take 2 Tarmogoyfs instead of a Siege Rhino. That's great.
That's actually a pretty good trade. 2 Tarmogoyfs for a Siege
Yeah, no,
Rhino.
John's deliriously happy with that. If Kenji blocked with just Rhino and 1 Tarmogoyf, he would have lost only the 1 Rhino. He's trying to play around removal spells. The thing is, though, that if John has a removal spell that kills Siege Rhino, those Tarmogoyfs would have just lost that fight.
All right, so Kenji attacks with his Siege Rhino because it's the lone Rhino standing until his twin brother comes down.
They come in packs.
They do come in packs. This is a pack. It's a crash. They come in crashes. Rhinos come in crashes. So far, 3 Rhinos on camera. 2 of them are still in play.
How many does it take to be a crash? Is it 3? Is it 4?
I think it's 3. I'm going to say 3. I think 2 is just a couple.
So we have a crash of Rhinos. We promised you Siege Rhinos. We have delivered a crash of Siege Rhinos.
John Stern. Not a lot of action. He did keep a 6-lander. 2 of the lands were Gavany Townships, and he luckily dodged the Thoughtseize because of it. Well, or skillfully. Skillfully dodged the Thoughtseize with the 6-land keep. It could have also been a mulligan.
I was going to say it might have been 5 land and a Hierarch.
Could have been a mulligan to 6, in which case I would keep that as well.
I would keep 5 land and a Hierarch. If that was a 6 card, that makes a lot more sense. Well, here's Lingering Souls and Flash It Back.
Lingering Souls, Flash It Back, a bunch of 1/1s, and once that Gavany Township becomes active, it's already active. There's enough mana to activate that Gavany Township. 3
Noble Hierarchs, all tapped for mana.
This is called synergy, ladies and gentlemen. Not only are we activating Gavany Township without Noble Hierarchs, but they're getting bigger. I don't think we're going to have enough dice for...
Did these guys break the Abzan mirror?
I don't know. Maybe it's just...
You just want to see how many dice we have. You want him to activate it just to prove that our sideline, Tim Willoughby's got 4 more dice on hand?
Well, first we're going to... I don't think Kenji wants that to happen. He's attacking with the Siege Rhinos for lethal. If John forgets to block...
Right.
He would die.
So how do you block here? If he blocks with all of... Wow.
I think...
He can kill both Rhinos,
I think you just kill them both, right? You just block everything.
Gavany Township means Gavany Township will kill both Rhinos with this block. And some creatures will survive. So what? You only get to kill 1 Hierarch?
Yeah.
And 2 Spirits?
Now, would you split those blockers up in a way that they're Noble Hierarchs and Spirits on each because of the different toughnesses?
Look, that trade worked out great for John Stern.
That trade
He
did
traded
work out very
half
well.
a Lingering Souls and 1 Noble Hierarch for a pair of Siege Rhinos.
Well, I guess then that's the right way to do it.
I mean, Kenji can't really just sit back and watch Gavany Township grow 7 creatures, though. So, I mean, that attack looked bad for Kenji, but it would be even worse if he hadn't attacked, I think. Wow, Gavany Township. It's face-to-face games, too, right? These guys just couldn't leave their pod cards at home. Like, Voice of Resurgence, we're still playing Voice of Resurgence,
yep,
Hierarchs, Gavany Townships. We don't need that Birthing Pod card.
They've played enough games with that deck where they didn't draw Birthing Pod or, you know, it's been destroyed.
Yeah.
They're like, this deck is still good.
And they were already playing Siege Rhino. Like, they'd already turned it into a Siege Rhino deck.
Just made room for Lingering Souls.
Sure. Got better synergy with Gavany Township than Birthing Pod did, right? This really is a lot of their pod cards.
No, Kenji on a similar deck. You know, he's got a lot of the same cards.
Crazy.
He's not looking at his Lingering Soul tokens, which are outclassed. It's like, what am I supposed to do? I'll just take the damage.
Wow.
He has to keep his board state. Activates the Gavany Township. They all get bigger. Those are some threatening Noble Hierarchs and Spirit tokens. How does Kenji get out of this?
It probably involves Batterskull.
There's a Batterskull. So Lifelink is gonna put Kenji at a effective 8 life.
Now, doesn't he just die to the? Oh, he can chump the 2 flyers.
He could chump 2 flyers, block any other creature, and he's basically at 8 life.
Township. You probably attack with just the 2 flyers, and then can he double? Can he activate both?
He can activate both townships by using his Noble Hierarchs.
All right, so the voice actually gets to 5/5 here, so you can attack with the voice into the Batterskull and live to tell about it. You effectively force the Germ token to chump block,
or let it die, and get an even bigger token.
Sure.
Or you could just attack with everything.
I think you want to kill the Germ token, so you definitely pump at least once. Yeah, he's just like all of it. Attack. He loses the ability to activate Township a 2nd time, but like you said, he's okay with voice dying here. And the Hierarchs would not die in a fight. The Hierarchs are just going to get through for 8. Wait, is this lethal even with the life gain?
That's not lethal. That is lethal. That's 8 damage. That's 8 damage.
It's only yeah, it is.
That's 8.
2 counters on it.
Yeah, there were no block. Kenji Shimura was dead even with the life gain. There was no block that would have saved him there.
And there you
soaked up as much damage as he could. And wow.
There you have
Mana
it.
creatures, mana heavy draw, Gavany Township pumps everybody up. Top me if you've heard this one before.
I have heard it, but I'm not going to stop you because I love some mana creatures and I love Gavany Township now.
Wow.
Welcome back to the booth, Rashad Miller. Here's Randy Bueller.
Modern is fun.
Modern is fun, and we just watched Abzan, and people say, "Oh, Abzan isn't fun."
2 different Abzans. One of them was better than the other.
All right. Well, that was the feature match area. We're going to send it to the news deck. Let's see what happened in the rest of the tournament.
All right, thanks very much to the guys down there in the booth, Rashad and Randy. Lots coming your way. It is not going to be long until we get right back to the guys because Modern is going at it at a lick. Meanwhile, we have the first of our deck guides for you. Just a couple of results to give you. Alexa Teleroff goes to 4-0 over Matthew Sperling of the United States. And how about this? Paul Cheon and Eric Froelich. They're both at 4-0. Still waiting to hear the result from Luis Scott Vargas. Last week's Grand Prix winners, they keep on trucking. But right now, it's turned to burn someone's face off in the company of Brian David Marshall and our special guest, Seth Manfield.